This is Michael Popok, Legal AF. Here's a warning to all of those people that are in election offices, who are election workers or who are clerks, who have decided to pledge their loyalty not to the U.S. Constitution and the American voter, but to Donald Trump, and are going to try to interfere with the election in 2024. They should go read up on the former Mesa County Clerk in Colorado, Tina Peters. Tina Peters, who was basically embraced by the major election denier, Mike Lindell of the Pillow Guy, Mike Lindell, she has now been convicted by a jury of 7 out of 10 felony counts related to election tampering, and they reached that verdict in Colorado in less than 4 hours. She's got 4 felonies that'll put her in jail for a long, long time. She also has first-degree official misconduct, 3 counts of attempting to influence a public servant, and a violation of duty. She let MAGA and Mike Lindell people into the election offices to access the county's voting equipment in May 2021, well after the election, and make copies of the hard drives containing private, personal voting records of you and me, as well as pictures of passwords. Those were then posted online and showed that Peters told her deputy that she acknowledged that she had committed a crime, that she was going to go to jail for this. Now, Peters was sort of on the lam for a while, and Mike Lindell was trying to hide her, while prosecutors and investigators were trying to meet with her a couple of years ago. But they caught her, as they always will, brought her back to Colorado, where she stood in a trial and has now been convicted. It's another example of MAGA out of control, whether you call it fake electors who signed the receipts for a major conspiracy with Donald Trump, try to overturn the will of the people 4 years ago, or here, a clerk, a actual clerk, the county clerk responsible ultimately for the sanctity and the security of voting, who abdicated her duty, her sworn oath, and decided to help MAGA, Pillow Guy, and Donald Trump instead, is going to jail for a long, long time. And let that be a lesson, because there's been a lot of reporting lately that there is a groundswell of election workers who are sort of like Trojan horse their way into election offices, getting ready for 2024, and they're ready to do mischief. I mean, already court clerks, county clerks around the country are reporting a tremendous surge in troubling interference or attempted interference with elections already. Just being bombarded by ridiculous conspiracy-driven theories, election-denying theories already led by MAGA, flooding these clerks' offices who are already undermanned, understaffed, just flooding them with these ridiculous stories or requests or demands for records, public records requests, coming in with voter records or coming in with lists of people, and they want to confirm that these people have been taken off the rolls and can't vote, and that type of thing, and just pressurizing and pressuring these election officials. So you have that. But be wary, you election officials who are willing to take your oath to a man and not to a country, and have pledged yourself to the cult of Donald Trump. He's not going to win. He's going to go to jail, and you're going to go to jail just like Tina Peters if you continue to interfere with the will of the people and stop the peaceful transfer of power. There's no other way to put this. When we were sort of watching this play out, like Tina Peters was like, they were like hiding her. She was like in the witness protection program. Mike Lindell was putting his arms around her. Some other nutty people were coming out of the woodwork to say that they supported her. Like Sharana Bishop, who calls herself America's mom and is a close ally of Lauren Boebert. I mean, that's where we're at now. The judge in the case, and I guess there'll be an aspect for an appeal, but the judge in the case rejected an attempt by the defense to put on some evidence about falsities in Dominion voting system machines. or that the CIA was involved in a plot against Tina Peters. I mean, even the lawyers seem to have swallowed the blue or red pill here, or the Kool-Aid, and are, doing Donald Trump's bidding, talking about conspiracy theories. And thankfully, trial judges in Mesa County, Colorado, are not allowing that to come into the jury. And the jury dispatched this case in record time, 4 hours. She was, of course, Tina Peters, age 68. She was exonerated of a couple of felonies, but just for the things she was convicted of, she's looking at a lot of jail time, to which she acknowledged. So I think what's going to happen is she's going to get sentenced on October the 3rd. She's facing 22 years in prison. We're going to follow it on the MeidasTouch network. But it's important for us to continue to follow things like Tina Peters going to jail. Because while we're watching Donald Trump find ways with the support of the United States Supreme Court, alt-right MAGA, and judges appointed by him to avoid jail time, he is being brought to justice in places like New York and the Manhattan DA having prosecuted him successfully for 34 felony counts. He's going to be sentenced in the middle of September by Judge Merchan. And we're going to have the first time ever, so many firsts with Donald Trump, none of them good. First time a president's been twice impeached. First time a former president's been convicted of felonies. First time a president's been sentenced for the conviction of felonies. First time a former president has been adjudged to be a fraudster. First time a former president has been adjudged to be a sex abuser and an attacker of women. A lot of firsts. It'll go down in the Trump Library. By the way, where is the Trump Library? I mean, he was president a number of years ago. You would think there would already be talk of some MAGA Trump library somewhere, and for his presidential papers. Oh, right, because he stole all of his presidential papers, so he's able to use it for the library. Putting that aside for a minute, you've got that body of work by Donald Trump, and then you've got all of the co-conspirators at every level, state and federal, that are being brought to justice by attorney generals and prosecutors around the country, trying to do a cleanup behind the Department of Justice that has had their cases sort of stuck in the mud and delayed by the Supreme Court. That doesn't necessarily delay the Arizona attorney general, for instance. Or in Colorado here, prosecutors going after election officials, or in Wisconsin or in Michigan. That's going on, and these people, these co-conspirators from top to bottom, including fake electors and election officials who are doing Donald Trump's bidding, are being brought to justice, and we want to talk about it here on the MeidasTouch Network. Where else? We're growing this network with our bare hands. I thought it was going to take until Election Day, if you go listen to my prior hot takes, to get us to 3 million free subscribers. We're going to get there by Labor Day. Make an honest man out of me. Help the MeidasTouch network, because it does. People might laugh about, well, why do we need free subscribers? We do, because the bigger we are, the more your voice is heard, and the more the content that you want and you enjoy gets brought to you. There's no other way to put it. We're building this network with our bare hands by word of mouth, organically, with your help. We can't do it without you. Free subscribe. Watch Legal AF. It's a podcast we invented 4 years ago at the intersection of law and politics. If you don't know why we call it Legal AF, now you do. Wednesdays, Saturdays, 8 p.m. Eastern Time. I host it on Wednesdays with Karen Freeman and Nick Nifolo, on Saturdays with Ben Meiselas, and then I do hot takes like this at that intersection of law and politics about every hour or so on the MeidasTouch Network. So until my next hot take, until my next Legal AF, this is Michael Popok reporting. Heary, heary, Legal AF Law Breakdown is now in session. Go beyond the headlines and get a deep dive into the important legal concepts you need to know, and we discuss every day on Legal AF. Exclusive content you won't find anywhere else, all for the price of a couple of cups of coffee. Join us at patreon.com/legalaf. That's patreon.com/legalaf.